Welcome everybody. Today on Sustainability Café, we have with us Charles Mellagui, the CEO of Ducab Cables Business. Ducab has been at the heart of the region's power infrastructure for decades and is now playing a critical role in clean energy shift. On this episode, we will dive deeper into the company's strategies, the sustainability goals, along with Charles. Charles, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Keerthana. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's a nice opportunity to discuss this strategic subject of sustainability and the role of Ducab.
Great. Before we dive into the company's sustainability goals and strategies, I would like to start more on a personal note. If you could, Charles, if you could talk a bit about yourself, what drew you to this cable industry and what keeps you going?
Yeah. I have been working in the cable industry more than 20 years and globally more than 30 years career. I have been always involved in more development, restructuring, turnaround, and the energy. How is the energy helping the world to be better? How is the sustainability inside the energy? And all the thematics that are around, like cables, transformers, switch gears, and also the renewable solution that Ducab is bringing today. Before joining Ducab in July 2022, I spent more than 16 years with another competitors in Europe.
Yeah. So you have spent more than 20 years in the industry and 30 overall. From Europe to Ducab, you must have witnessed a lot of transformation shifts in the industry, say from technological evolutions or clean energy transition or supply chain disruption and so on. Looking back, what are some of the defining moments for you and which have actually shaping the way you lead Ducab today?
Yeah. Well, I think this is an excellent question. For decades, cable industry was seen as the poor element in the value chain of the energy sector. Cables were commodities. So all the cable makers, they were struggling to sell and they were struggling just to cut costs, etc., etc. And through this, many cable makers disappear from the marketplace. And something happened, which is 2015, with the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement, there have been some decisions. This is COP21, if you remember. The world decided that time has come to do energy transition, to limit temperature increase to 1.5 to 2 degrees. And then suddenly the cable become interesting for everyone, because the energy transition is about cable also, because you can create power, but you need to transmit it and to distribute it where it can be used. So the real shift in the cable industry that has changed was in 2015. And then other events happen, which are, of course, the electrification, because everybody was saying, the power plant, they are emitting a lot of dioxide of carbon or carbon. Let's electrify this. How do you electrify? We move them to solar, to wind, to nuclear, and to reduce a little bit the oil and gas in the power sector. But the power sector is not only the only sector that is responsible for this. The other sectors. This is where Ducab is playing a big role in the electrification of, first, the energy sector, and second, the building. Third is the transportation, for instance. And we forget that transportation, like electrical cars today, it's impacting this positively the emission of CO2 on car. If you take, let's say, we can say 25% between power plant, building, and transportation, and the industrial. And the industrial, of course, many sectors, industrial like cement, like steel, they emit a lot of carbon. And Ducab is helping electrify these sectors. Well, in Ducab, first we are a UAE company. First, we we follow the vision of the UAE, which is a marvelous vision. UAE is one of the best countries that's tackling this energy transition with determination and with result. And of course, us as a team managing Ducab, we are mirroring this vision by investing heavily in first renewable sectors. For instance, we have Ducab, we have a lot of strategic solution and products that address solar power plant, that address wind, that address nuclear. And also, we are looking for efficiency in the energy. We are also trying to reduce the waste and to, for instance, to use materials that are recyclable. All these elements that are inside the value chain of the energy, Ducab is a strategic element.
Wonderful.
In other words, the energy transition cannot happen without Ducab in UAE. And by the way, it cannot even happen without Ducab worldwide, because humble we are, but we are critical in the energy transition.
Right. In fact, countries around the world are accelerating the transition towards clean energy. For instance, Iceland, Norway are already there. They are almost producing 100% of their electricity from renewable sources. I'm aware that Ducab also contributes to the national, not only the national ambition, but also the international ambitions. Can you talk about some of the contributions of Ducab in that aspect?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think you're right, because the Nordic countries, they started, let's say, this energy transition a long time ago. And today it is true that these countries, there is one index, what we call Energy Transition Index, and top 10, you find always these Nordic countries, including France, and France for another reason, because France is heavily dependent on nuclear, which is considered as clean energy. But Nordic, definitely, they are doing this. Those countries, when they do this energy transition, but first of all, they do it for their people, because it's nice to live in a country that is taking care of the environment, that is, let's say, careful about the impact of the carbon emission, impact on people life. And second, there are also advantages, because when you are, let's say, if you have almost 100% of clean energy, this gives you legitimacy to speak in the world, because more you emit, tomorrow you will have to pay the bill.
Yeah.
And this is started in Europe with the CBAM system. And also there is financial impact, because today many asset managers and capital allocation firms, they are looking, when they decide to invest in which company, they start looking more and more to what is the ESG impact of this company. And Ducab, we are embracing this change to become a carbon neutral company, maximum by 2050. I would say 2045 is reasonable for us.
Right. Glad you mentioned about the changes that are happening in different countries. Do you believe that nations leading in clean energy will have a greater global influence going forward? Perhaps soft power of sort?
Well, probably I'll be, let's say, cautious, not speaking about soft power, because first is for the people. When UAE is tackling the energy transition, really they do it for people to have a nice country, more clean energy. Nordic countries, they do the same, first for their people. And second, because it gives competitive advantage. When you have clean energy, we're using, let's say, if your rate of clean energy is high, this gives you also some legitimacy to speak on the sustainability worldwide. And this we can say influence. And there are many countries who are supporting others because they succeeded their energy transition. And UAE is one of the most advanced countries in this energy transition success. And UAE is supporting others. And us, we are inside this ecosystem. We are also supporting other countries. For instance, in Iraq, we are supporting Iraq for their energy transition. We are tackling a couple of projects in high voltage, medium voltage, and also in Morocco, we are heavily investing in some projects, supporting, giving advice and coaching. I think this kind of, let's say, positive influence it is there when we succeed the energy transition.
Yeah, that's a wonderful perspective. People first, planet next.
Correct.
And power comes much later.
Yeah, and let's say the influence is always positive, always for people first, and then for the economy and for development. And the UAE has industrial champion like Ducab.
Right, wonderful. You also mentioned about this. We are seeing a massive demand from renewables, EV infrastructure, data centers. All these sectors are energy hungry. So how is Ducab preparing itself to scale up responsibly to meet all these demands?
Yeah. Well, I think this is the heart of what Ducab is. Today, Ducab, we are at the heart of the energy transition, and we are embracing this massive demand of power. Let's say the demand for clean power, solar, wind, nuclear, and other clean energies is massive. Just to give you some figures, today we have, let's say, 1,500 gigawatts of solar. By 2035, this will become 6,000.
Right.
So it's a big jump. It's almost 5 times more. The wind onshore, we estimate today 1,000 gigawatt. This will become 3,000. It is true that solar will grow much faster than wind offshore, because solar it's a little bit much easier than wind onshore. Wind offshore is also growing very fast, and wind offshore, it has the advantage because it's on the sea. You can go up to 80 kilometers from the shore, meaning that you don't have an impact on the land. Land is very important. Solar, when you develop solar, you consume part of the land. But by the way, you can also build solar on the sea. It's another model. But the wind offshore, 80 kilometers from the shore, this is also very, very efficient energy, because the wind is very high when you go 80 kilometers, for instance, from the shore. And the efficiency can be very high when you bring this energy from the offshore to the land. So nuclear is also growing very, very fast, and nuclear is clean energy. And you know that nuclear is the most efficient energy worldwide. There is something what we call the capacity factor, meaning it's like the efficiency. It's almost 93% for nuclear. When you compare to solar, for instance, which is only 30%. So meaning that you need 3 times more solar than nuclear for the same result. But it's not only about renewable energy, or it's also about electrical vehicle. So just to share with you some figures, depending on the report. But we estimate today between around 40 million electrical vehicles in circulation today. By 2035, the plan is to have 350 million. And by 2050, guess, we are estimating 1 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and how are you going to energize this car? Of course, you need station, but station, you need energy. So the energy demand is massive, and this energy that need to be built for the electrical vehicle has to go through the grid. So the grid has to adapt itself to be able to pull the energy to the electrical car. If you project ourselves in 2050, actually we see a new world in which energy, electrical vehicle, and also what we call adjacent solution like green hydrogen, carbon capture and sequestration, and even carbon usage, because carbon can be used. We forget that carbon can be used in some industries. All this ecosystem will change the landscape by 2050. We will see another world. And for this, Ducab is critical and is playing a key role to address all these ecosystems.
So 25 years down the line, the world is going to look totally different, I guess, moving away from fossil fuels, and it's a positive outlook. Yeah,
I think, let's say, our opinion is that there will be multi-energies in the world. The oil will not disappear in 25. Gas will not disappear. The opposite, gas will probably increase. But the oil major, they will be much cleaner because they will tackle the carbon emission. They will have sophisticated technology that still produce oil but be clean. This is the nice things. And some oil and gas major, they are already also in the electricity. They are building a solar plant, they are building wind, they are in what we call multi-energies. And this is the word. The word will be a coexistence among all these energies, positively and respectfully to the environment, and to help this energy transition. Because at the end of the day, the world has to eliminate this 40 gigatons of carbon because it's too much. And if we carry on this 40 gigatons in the world, temperature will increase by 3 degrees. Nobody wants temperature to increase by 3 degrees because 3 degrees, it put the world in uncertain condition. Huh?
Yeah, of course. Following up on that, Ducab has achieved a 10% surge in renewable sales over the last 5 years. Of course, you mentioned a lot of stuff. Then could you also talk about what's driving that growth?
Yeah, as I said before, there is a demand for energy, for clean energy. So there are many projects worldwide in solar, in wind, in nuclear, and Ducab has expertise in this segment. Why our business is growing in this segment? Because we are following this demand, this driver. For instance, Ducab has been honored to supply our cables and solution for Mohammed bin Rashid solar power plant. For DAFRA, we supplied Australia, we supplied Egypt, we supply UK. We are a global supplier of product worldwide in this segment of clean energy. Also in the data centers, you know that today data center is strategic segment because the world now knows that data, and I would even say knowledge beyond data, because data is the raw material. Most important is the knowledge. Yeah. The knowledge you get, the knowledge will be critical in the world in the future. That's why we see all these artificial intelligence companies developing and growing. And for this, they need also a lot of energy. For instance, data centers today, worldwide, they consume, let's say, 2% of global power. By 2030, this will double. Data centers will consume 4%. 4% of a much growing demand for power. Meaning this will fuel all this renewable and will push Ducab to serve this segment more and more. That's why our sales is growing a lot in this segment.
Wonderful. Another development at Ducab was last year it launched GCC's first high voltage fiber optic cable manufactured using 98% of recycled material, which is quite remarkable and which is of interest to us as a waste and recycling magazine. Tell us about that decision. Why was it important to persuade that much recycled content?
Well, innovation first is at the heart of Ducab. Since 1947, Ducab has been always an innovative company. So this case in particular for high voltage, adding fiber optic inside, it has an innovating driver. Why? Because before the cable was transmitting power. High voltage is very, very sensitive. For instance, one cable of extra high voltage can transmit up to 2 gigawatts. One cable can be the support to bring energy to a city, to an average size city. That's why the cable is very, very risky, because the cable has to work perfectly. And the idea behind introducing fiber optic inside is to get knowledge how the cable is living. Before the cable was installed, and we say, okay, let the cable work, deliver the performance. But now we want more. We want to understand how the cable is behaving. How is distributing the power? Is there any problem with the cable? If there is a failure, we need to know immediately, because we cannot, for instance, afford to have a city blackout. It's not possible. By the way, this has happened. You remember recently in Europe, in some European countries, blackout happened because of this high voltage failure. So it's quite sensitive. So this case of innovation, we do it in high voltage, but we do it also in many other sectors. For instance, when it comes to safety against fire, we are very innovative. We are designing and looking for material. First, we try to recycle as much as possible. We recycle, for instance, copper. Copper is one of the. We are lucky because we manufacture a rod inside Ducab, so we want to recycle more and more. Why recycling copper is very strategic? Because copper today, the world is shifting from abundance of copper to scarcity of copper.
Okay.
This year, likely in 26 or maximum by next year, the supply will be much lower than the demand, meaning that we need to find copper. And thanks God, there is copper available that need to be recycled. Just to give you an example, today the world recycles approximately 10 million tons of copper worldwide. And you know that there is 70 million tons available, for instance, cable or steel or building that they have this copper available everywhere. This copper needs to be taken and recycled. But we recycle only 10 million out of 70 million. But if you look forward more deep, how many millions of tons of copper have been used in the world, you can find many cables laid in the desert, laid in cities. They are no more working. They are not decommissioned. So there is copper available that need to be recycled. That's why recycling copper will be strategic in the future. And Ducab is critical in this segment.
Wonderful. Supporting renewable externally is one thing. But decarbonizing your own manufacturing is just as critical. How is Ducab reducing its carbon footprint through possibly like through recycling or circular economy initiatives?
Yeah. No, excellent question. I think Ducab, as I say, it's at the heart of the energy transition first, because we are built in electricity. It's in our DNA. Yeah? So when we go to our client to support them in their electrification or let's say decarbonation, actually we did it for ourselves. How we did it? We did it first for our industrial operations. So we looked at our industrial process, and whenever we see we are burning, for instance, gas or something, we always ask the question, can we electrify this process? Let's change it to electricity. So we do this everywhere. This is what we call kind of scope 1 in our operation to reduce the carbonation. Second is the energy. We are buying energy from suppliers, but we want to buy more and more green energy with some certificate to show that we are using green. And by the way, we built also our own solar farm. So if you visit Ducab in Jabal Ali, you see that we have our own solar farm that we are using for our industrial operations. And the other element is the circular economy. Circular economy is at the heart also of Ducab operations. We recycle copper, we recycle aluminium, we recycle PVC, and we recycle more and more. We want to be, let's say, a clean energy using what we have already. In other words, we want to do more with less. To give you an example, we are manufacturing cables which are long, but we want the cables to enter a circular economy. Actually, we are circling the linear cable. So all in all, ESG, decarbonation, clean energy are at the heart of Ducab's strategy for the future. And our intention is to be carbon neutral maximum by 2050, if not before.
Right. It's sort of leading by example. You're decarbonizing your own production first before showing to the client how it can be done.
Absolutely, because this gives us credibility, because actually our raison d'être, we are actually supporting our client.
Right.
What we want our client to achieve, we do it and we prove it on ourselves first. So it gives us some credibility when we speak with our partners.
Of course. Our primary audience includes recyclers and circular economy professionals. So what would be your message to recyclers who are looking to collaborate with Ducab? And what kind of partnerships do you want to build?
Well, Ducab is always open to innovative idea out of the box in circular economy. Circular economy for me is just the beginning. It is an industry that is going to develop and to grow in many, many, many areas that we don't even think about, some of them. Let's say, the change from abundance of raw material, abundance of water, abundance of energy, this is finished. Today, we have to create a world in which everything should be considered as scarce resources. So how to use what we already have? This is good for the environment. This is good for the business. And this is good for our operations. Imagine that copper can be used infinite. You can recycle copper infinite. You take the scrap, you inject it, and you manufacture. So our scrap today is our product of Ducab tomorrow. So this is very, very, very strategic for us, the circular economy. And we are welcoming all the partnership, all the ideas to help us implement out-of-the-box and brilliant, impactful ideas.
Great. So when you think of cables, it is often thought to be unseen, powering everything around us invisibly, like being the invisible backbone of modern life, if you could say. In one of your previous interviews, you mentioned that cables are no longer passive products, which is an intriguing statement. And could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's say, as I said before COP 2021, cable makers and cables, they were a commodity. So we take them, we buy, we install, and we forget them. But after, cable has become a serious matter. So meaning we have to really think about what else we can do with cable. And the idea moving from passive to active, meaning that we want to insert knowledge. We want to insert and to get knowledge from this cable. Cable can react today. Using cable, you can create even a small telecom network if you insert fiber optic. And you can also insert, for instance, LEDs outside on the outer sheet of the cable, and the cable can become like a lamp. For instance, when you go to the mining, they use the cable to transmit, but they can see because it's like a lamp. They can see with the. So all this element make the cable not only passive as before, more and more active. Some cable and some design, if we insert fiber optic, we can know the cable life in real time.
Really?
How is aging? Is the cable happy? Is he having stress? Is temperature going up? Is going down? Is the pressure, etc.? So we can know a lot. And when we know, when we have knowledge, we can plan and predict better in the future. That's why I said last time, cable has moved from passive to active component inside the energy transition.
Looking ahead 5 to 10 years, which technologies or sustainable innovation do you think will have the biggest impact in accelerating the energy transition? And personally, are you looking forward to look at one particular innovation taking shape, coming to reality?
There are many innovations coming in the next, let's say, 5-10 years. First is the renewable energy. This segment will carry on like solar, nuclear, wind onshore, wind offshore. Second is the electrical vehicle. It's coming, so meaning that cable makers, they can start thinking how to design and to innovate in this value chain of the electrical vehicle. The extra high voltage, there are two components I see that will impact the future. First is what we call HVDC. You know, today most of extra high voltage cable, they are AC. AC meaning that the power is going up, down, negative, positive, but the DC is continuous. It gives so this technology will be extremely used in the future because it's very efficient. There is less losses, and you can use cable with sophisticated technology like polypropylene to make these cables user-friendly and environment-friendly. Yeah. You know, today most of the cable, some part cannot be recycled. But with new technologies like polypropylene, we will recycle entirely the cable, meaning that we can manufacture cable almost with everything recycled, and we can recycle it infinitely, this cable. This is in the future. And second component of the extra high voltage is what I call superconductivity. Superconductivity has been always the dream of human being. How to transmit infinite power with very, very small cable. So this technology will come in the future because it requires an environment of the cable that is below 273 degrees, minus 273 degrees. But this technology would come. But imagine that if this technology, if we can have superconductivity materials at normal temperature, the world will be totally upside down because we will no longer need all these complicated systems. Right. We can be very efficient. This will impact in the future, especially in the big cities. And as you know, that there will be more and more big cities worldwide with an average 10 to 20 million, even more. Some Indian and South American cities, they have more than 30 million. So these big cities, space will be a constraint. So this superconductivity can address this because they don't require big infrastructure. Right. So these are among the technologies that will impact the future, along with artificial intelligence and data centers. Right. And adjacent technologies, like, as I said before, the green hydrogen, which definitely will come. Today, what limit the development of green hydrogen is the cost. Today, it's a little bit costly. It's $3 to $4 per kg, while the normal hydrogen is $1. If this development of renewable comes and accelerates, and we can insert this green hydrogen electrolysis inside the power plant, the renewable power plant, this will help the green hydrogen to pick up. It will pick up in the future. It's a matter of time, maybe 10 years. And artificial intelligence, definitely this wave is just the beginning. It will be massive worldwide. And the good thing is that UAE is one of the most advanced countries in development of data center and artificial intelligence. Right. That's why we are very happy to be a UAE-rooted company and UAE champion company, critical and strategic for the energy transition. Right.
Building on that, Ducab's cables are now part of many international projects, very popular ones in UK and South Korea. These projects not only speak about Ducab's capabilities, but also about UAE's industrial strength on the global stage. Your comments on that?
Oh, absolutely. I think we are lucky because we are part of a UAE ecosystem, which is very, very innovative. And we consider Ducab as one of the UAE champions. Not only UAE champions, but we are becoming also impactful worldwide. And we will be champion worldwide because today we have all the technologies, the certificate, the qualification. That's why Ducab today is able to address and to serve nuclear power plant in South Korea, for instance. Yeah. We are addressing wind offshore in UK. We are working in Morocco, in Australia. So we have the technology, we have the product, we have the will, and we have the business environment in UAE that is supporting its champions, and we are benefiting from this to serve the world and to go to the world. This is why Ducab is so excited to continue this adventure worldwide.
Right. Finally, stepping back from business and technology, looking back on your career, what has been the leadership lessons that has stood out for you, and what advice would you give to aspiring leaders who want to lead this industry?
Yeah. Well, I think, let's say, through my humble experiences in turnaround, restructuring, developing technology, innovation, I think the most important is to be careful not to go through volume strategy, focus on value strategy. To give you an example, many leaders, they think that if they do a lot of sales, it's nice. But if you think out of the box, it's not necessarily the good thing, because if you do a lot, you produce a lot, you add complexity. If you forget the element which is profitability, how much profit? I give you a simple example. If I'm going to produce 100 and to sell 100 for 5% margin, if I can produce only 50 and sell 50 at 10%, what is better? It's to go for 50. Why? Because we consume less internal resources of the companies. when you focus the company, you have limited resources, let's do less and get more. And the motto is a value strategy, do more with less. And of course, it's people, it's about people. If you develop talent around you, if you give let's say the empowerment and the tools to people, they grow, they become the multiplier of the business building. So they build the business. So building people. So focus the company on value, what matters. Don't waste a lot of resources and build people, because people build business. Businesses do not build people. It's businesses that build people.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you for that insightful conversation.